Tributes pour in as former Jamaican Prime Minister Edward Seaga passes.
The region gets a €28 million facility for building resilience.
And CARICOM and Indonesia strengthen diplomatic relations. Welcome to the CARICOM News Highlights for the week ending Friday, 31st May 2019. I am Tusankin English Francis.
And I'm Michelle Nurse of the CARICOM Secretariat's Communications Unit. Welcome.
Chairman of CARICOM, Prime Minister Timothy Harris of St. Kitts and Nevis, led the flood of tributes praising the contributions of Edward Seaga, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica. Edward Seaga, Jamaica's fifth Prime Minister, died on Tuesday, 28 May, in the United States of America. The chairman paid homage to Seaga's role in establishing the region as a zone of peace and stability, from which he says the region will never depart. CARICOM Secretary General Ambassador Erwin LaRocque highlighted Mr. Seaga's indelible contribution to the development of Jamaica in many spheres. The SG says constitutionally, politically, financially, and in education, his achievements will always be known in Jamaica. The SG recalls Mr. Seaga was instrumental in reviving the integration movement in 1982 as host of the first meeting of the Conference of CARICOM Heads of Government after a 7-year hiatus. The U.S. State Department says Seaga was one of Jamaica's strong pro-democracy, independence-era leaders and a bulwark for free market economic reforms. A full story of all the tributes to Edward Seaga is on the CARICOM Secretariat's news blog at today.caricom.org.
The community and Indonesia have strengthened diplomatic relations with the accreditation of a new envoy of the Southeast Asian country to CARICOM. CARICOM Secretary General Ambassador Erwin LaRocque accepted the credentials of His Excellency Juland Pujianto at the headquarters of the CARICOM Secretariat on Friday, the 31st of May. The Secretary General says the increasing links with countries which have similar interests, like Indonesia, is important. He highlighted issues related to financing for development in the context of climate change and building resilience, as well as the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals.
We have been advocating for international policies that allow for a balanced approach in the provision of such resources, particularly to small island and low-lying coastal developing states, SIDS, as this source of financing will also be critical as we seek to build economic and environmental resilience. We believe that a fundamental reconsideration is required of the current policies, the international policies that govern the provision of international development financial resources and development assistance to SIDS. Such revised policies must take into account vulnerability and not be limited to the use of the current inadequate criterion of per capita income. Excellency, as CARICOM countries cope with burdensome debt brought on in large measure by the demands of reconstruction after devastating climatic events, there is a sense of urgency in our advocacy for a stronger global approach to combating climate change. For us, climate change is an existential threat. Indonesia, which itself is comprised of a number of islands, has confronted many natural disasters and climate-related events, and is therefore no stranger to these intensifying environmental challenges. This is clearly one area in which collaboration can be developed between us.
The Secretary General conveyed the region's concerns about the reputational damage caused by blacklisting. He called on Indonesia to raise those concerns in the G20. The new Indonesian envoy says his country acknowledges the importance of the Caribbean community. Noting the achievements of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, he says the association and CARICOM could further explore the possibilities of cooperation, particularly in trade and economic affairs.
Excellency, Mr. Secretary General, I would like also to take this opportunity to inform that the government of the Republic of Indonesia will hold the Trade Expo Indonesia on 16 to 20 October 2019 in Jakarta. Prior to that event, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia will organize the Indonesia, Latin American and the Caribbean Business Forum on 13 to 15 October 2019. In this regard, the government of Indonesia invites the businessmen from the region, including the businessmen from the member states of CARICOM. it would be highly appreciated if the Secretary General could encourage the business circle of the CARICOM to participate in the two events.
The European Union on Tuesday announced a 28 million euros grant funding facility for building resilience in the Caribbean. Ambassador of the European Union to CARICOM, Her Excellency Daniela Trameser, says the facility will be implemented by the World Bank and the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. It is expected to strengthen the capacity of public institutions and civil society organizations that are capable of protecting citizens from disasters. The fund was launched at the Understanding Risk Caribbean Conference in Bridgetown, Barbados.
The CARICOM Secretariat has partnered with the Food and Agriculture Organization to assist CARICOM member states to develop reporting capacity in the agriculture sector, in keeping with Goal 2 of the Sustainable Development Goals. A regional workshop in support of that Sustainable Development Goal was held at the CARICOM Secretariat recently. Representatives of member states were trained in compiling government expenditure on agriculture data and Sustainable Development Goal 2A1, and on reporting to the international agencies on their progress towards achieving those specific Sustainable Development Goal targets.
CARICOM, more often than not, speaks with one voice. Assistant Secretary General for Foreign and Community Relations in the CARICOM Secretariat, Ambassador Colin Grandison, affirmed in a recent interview. He was at the time briefing the CARICOM Secretariat's Communications Unit on foreign policy issues foreign ministers discussed at their recent meeting in Grenada.
We are a community of small states. It's quite clear, we know from experience, that when we come together and we speak with one voice, we happen to get our voices heard with less difficulty in the cacophony of voices that make up the international system. So that obviously is very important. Over the years, the foreign ministers have spent a lot of time discussing how best to improve the coordination of foreign policy. We put in place a number of measures. We've looked, for example, at institutional frameworks. For example, there's a Bureau of the Gulf Corps. There are also meetings of the senior officials, coordination or exchange of ideas between senior officials. A chat group on WhatsApp has been put in place with regard to foreign ministers, which means that if a particular important development that requires an instant response comes up, that it's possible, therefore, to bring everybody together very, very quickly through the chat group.
Ambassador Grandison lauded CARICOM's advocacy in influencing its positions on issues of regional importance to international partners. For this full interview, you can log on to the CARICOM YouTube channel or visit the CARICOM news blog.
At the just concluded World Health Assembly, CARICOM health ministers raised the region's concerns about vaccine hesitance in developed countries. Dr. Rudolph Cummings, Program Manager for Health Sector Development within the CARICOM Secretariat, says that hesitance to take vaccines against infectious diseases, including measles, poses a threat to the region as a tourist destination.
We are always at a risk of admitting people coming from parts of Europe and North America. Now we know that there's a substantial outbreak in measles in parts of the United States. As these are our major customers in terms of tourism. And we let it be known at the Assembly that we have concerns about this, and we would like their governments to spend more time trying to convince their citizens about the efficacy of immunization of children.
He was at the time briefing our communications unit on some of the issues that were discussed at the 72nd session of the World Health Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland. Look out for the full interview with Dr. Cummings on our social media platforms. We'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Cummings, who received the Golden Arrow of Achievement Award on the occasion of Guyana's 53rd independence anniversary.
And And did you know that the 28th of May 2019 was the 40th anniversary of the first sitting of the CXC examination? Yes, the first exam was written on the 28th of May 1979, replacing the British O-level examinations. Check out this video.
In 1972, the Caribbean Examinations Council was established by an agreement signed by 15 English-speaking Commonwealth Caribbean countries. This agreement meant that the council would become the first ever regional examining body to issue school-leaving certification to students across the Caribbean. It will be a further 7 years, however, before such certification will be issued, for it was only in 1979 that the English-speaking Caribbean began its break with the Cambridge Examinations Syndicate. Just over 30,000 of our young people wrote the first Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate Examinations, CSEC, in English language, geography, mathematics, social studies, and integrated science. CSEC celebrated its 30-year milestone in 2009, a milestone that we are all very proud of, and one which speaks to the dedication and commitment of Team CXC and its many partners. Today, the Caribbean Examination Council has established itself as the regional examining body that provides examinations for secondary and post-secondary candidates in Caribbean countries. CXC offers a wide range of subjects in academic, technical, and vocational areas for candidates of varying ages, abilities, and interests, from English-speaking Caribbean to the Netherlands Antilles and Suriname.
You are now up to date with the major developments in the community. There are more details to these stories.
Visit the CARICOM Secretariat news blog at today.caricom.org or visit the CARICOM website www.caricom.org. Like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
See you next time.